Hey, this is Laura with Jot and Tittle Vintage Typewriters. Wanted to get on today to say a quick hi, but also to kind of introduce the next typewriter tutorial that I'm doing. I happen to be doing a 1962 Smith Corona Galaxie. This one has been repainted, but I haven't done an actual, like an early 60s Galaxie tutorial video in a long time, if ever, I think. I just know it's been a long time, so I'm going to redo it. This one is really, really great manual for those of you. Every once in a while I'll get a request, hey, what do you recommend as a manual typewriter for someone who's working on a book? And this would be one of them. The Galaxies are a great manual typewriter. Now, the only reason that I wouldn't recommend it is, like in my case, I have very petite hands. And so the Galaxie, even though it types really well, I really struggle with it. It makes my fingers sore very quickly because I have to stretch so much. So it's a large keyboard for me. But that's because I have very petite hands. So if you don't have petite hands, I think you'll really enjoy Smith Corona Galaxie. This one is a 1962. So let's go ahead and jump right in to the tutorial. Okay, as I mentioned, we've repainted this one. This is not an original color by Smith Corona by any means. Rob happened to paint this one in red, and it looks really good on it. So, and the one that I'm using for this tutorial, this one happens to be cracked right here, but it hasn't impacted the performance at all. So this is a tutorial video that's really designed to show you how to use a Smith Corona Galaxie in case you have one and you don't know how to use it. First off, let me show you the font. The font on this particular one is very clean and it lines up so well. This one happens to be 10 characters per inch, which is the Pica. But keep in mind with vintage typewriters, even though this model and this one I have here is working amazing, just because you have a Smith Corona Galaxie, maybe it's the same year, doesn't mean it's going to operate the same way because they're vintage and they're over 50 years. Actually, it's over 62 years old. And so it really, there's so many variables and factors, it would be impossible to say in general. But that being said, in general, I have found that Smith Corona Galaxies are really good typers for those of you who want a really good working manual typewriter that's a little more affordable than some of the other ones. Like a Sterling, you're going to pay quite a bit more, about $100 more for a Sterling than you will for a Galaxie. All right, so let me go ahead. We're going to start from the back here. This is all manual. And that's what the back looks like. You have your paper holder right here. To set margins, you have two white tabs. You press and drag to where you want. Now, wherever you have your margins set is how far the carriage is going to move. So I've got the full, length of the carriage right there. But if I bring these in, now the carriage is only going to go so far. Now, that being said, when you're typing, no matter where you set your margin, on the right side, there's a bell right there. This one is kind of faint. That will go off just a few characters before your margin, and once you reach your margin, that carriage isn't going to move anymore, unless that is you hit a margin release, which is right here. It says MR. Now the carriage will move. Now, obviously, the point isn't to use the margin release on every line. If that's happening, you don't understand the point of margins, or you need to adjust your margin. So when you're typing and that bell goes off, you need to hit your return handle. Now, sometimes it's in a really awkward place, like right in the middle of a word, and that's when the margin release comes in handy. Okay. So you saw me move the carriage. In order to move your carriage, there's two levers right here. It doesn't matter which one. You just need to pull in one of them, and that will move your carriage. It will automatically always pull to the left If your carriage does not have that pull, that means your drawband is broken and you need a professional repair person. So if you have a carriage that's just flopping everywhere, that is a significant issue. It doesn't mean it can be repaired rather easily, but it is probably going to be an expensive repair because you'll have to take this off, and the drawband it's really kind of a pain to get that drawband in there, but you will need a professional service on that. Okay, so over here on the right side is that metal lever right there. And if you pull that forward, that is a paper release. So if you load a piece of paper and you just put it in there, you don't have to push it down, just set it, turn your handle. That'll pull it through. Make sure it goes underneath this bar. And then you can see it's crooked. Oh my goodness. Well, a lot of times it is. So then I use my paper release and I straighten up my paper and re-engage it. And that's what's that for. And when you're done typing, you pull forward your paper release and pull your paper out. Okay. Then on the left side, actually, let me lift it up again. On the left side, you'll have another metal lever right here. And this should be your line selector. Yes. Okay, so all the way forward. And you might, on yours, you might have a 1, 2, and 3 on here. Since Rob painted this, I can't see them. So you may have a 1, 2, and 3. So there's a single line. When you hit that return handle, it's advancing 1 line. There's 2 lines and 3 lines. And it's just, if you like having space between your lines, line spacing. Now there is another lever down here. I would actually just leave that alone. That releases the platen in there, or platen, excuse me. And that's more for servicing. Now there is a button on the left side here. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a button right there. And and that is great for variable spacing. So like when you turn your handle, it's clicking like every space. But when you load your paper, let's say loading this paper, and I'm wanting it to line up just right with the stuff I've already typed, but it's not, I can't quite get it to line up. Then if I press this variable spacing, sorry, some typewriters you press, some you pull out. In this case, if you pull it out, then that kind of releases that, and I can get it lined up exactly where I want, and then you make sure you re-engage it. So that is what that button lever is for, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and now we're going to take a look under the hood, but before we do, we're going to move this carriage over to the left, and that's so that this handle is out of the way of this cover. And then you just put your hand right here in the middle and just pull forward gently. You don't have to, it shouldn't be too hard to do it. You don't do up, you pull forward. And you'll see the spool. We've put in a universal spool in here. Actually, this one's plastic. And sometimes you can find metal. If you have your original spools and you need fresh ribbon, we have an option. Just go to our shop and look under custom ribbon. And what you do is you send us your spool, and then we will wind up ribbon and mail it back to you. Okay, so this ribbon takes a 2-color ribbon, and the standard is black and red. Black is going to be on top, red is going to be on bottom. And when you thread it, make sure the ribbon goes up around the top and then down around the bottom. Same with this one, up around the top, down around the bottom. Now there's 2 guide wires right here. You want to make sure your ribbon is going through that. It's a very messy process. You're going to get ink everywhere. It's actually really difficult to show you on video how to do it, because to actually thread it in this middle area, because your hands are like in this, and it's hard to video. But what I'll do is you can take a screenshot if you need to. This is what it looks like. And so you can pause it or take a screenshot just to kind of help you get it threaded. Now, what you want to do is you're going to look for slits. Sometimes the slit is on the top, which I'm trying to figure out here. Yes, the slit on this one, I think, is up here on the top. Sometimes it's on the back side. There's a slit, but you want to slide that ribbon in through the slit, and you'll kind of see some grooves that you want to get things into. So right now the ribbon is going this direction, but when you get all the way to the end of the spool, the ribbon on the spool, then you need to reverse the direction. And there's a lever right here on the left side. And now it should go this way. And that is how and then you just go back and forth till you use up all the ink in that ribbon. There's a ton of ink in there. It should last you a long time. And so I can now go back this way. Some ribbons have a grommet or a little metal piece on it at the very, very end that will trigger it to reverse on its own, but that has to do with the ribbon and not the typewriter. All of ours do not have that, so if you use our ribbons, you have to manually reverse, and on this case, it's right here, okay? So let's go down here, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of ink, but I already have ink on the typewriter. I'm gonna have to clean it off now. So right here on the left side, it says LMH. This is like your touch control. It just determines how hard, let me open this up again, these type bars are gonna strike your paper. And I can't tell a difference, but maybe you can. The other way that you can change how hard your type bars strike the paper is your pressure, your finger pressure. So I have a very light touch, so sometimes it won't even imprint and I'll have to backspace and type it again. Whereas my husband has a very heavy hand. In my opinion, it sounds like he's gonna type right through the table. But it's just, and so with your typewriter, each typewriter has its own personality. You will learn to adjust the pressure. You'll figure out what pressure your typewriter likes. And so I encourage you to be intuitive about that, not just mindlessly type, but feel your typewriter and get an idea of what kind of pressure is going to work best with your typewriter. Okay, over here is your color selector. So right now it's on black. And then if you go down, it's red. And in the middle, you'll see like it's just an outline, and that's white. That is a stencil setting. So if you try to type in that setting, nothing is going to show up except for maybe some residue of ink on your type bars. And it's supposed to be that way. So if you're typing and things not showing up well, or it feels different, stop and check two things. Make sure you didn't bump it into the stencil mode, which happens more often than you would realize, or reverse the direction of your ribbon. It's most likely one of those two things. Okay, so let's talk about the tab. And we'll just go right here. Right now, I think I only have one set. Yeah, it's right there in the middle. So I want to clear that. This is your tab button, and that's what moved my carriage. I'm going to clear that. Let's hit the return handle. And it cleared. Here's another one. Let me clear it. There you go. Now, sometimes your typewriter might have a tab like every space, and that's from people who don't know how to set tabs and they're trying to figure it out, and they end up setting a tab on every space. If that's the case, there is a way to clear all of your tabs at once, and the way to do that is you just hold clear. Here, let me set a couple to show you. Oops. Set. So I'm setting tabs by hitting set. So I'll show you. Tab, 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 tab. Okay, let's say you want to clear all of those. You hold down the clear while you have it held down. Release your carriage. I go twice. I don't know why. I just do. And then release them both. Voila. And so then they're all cleared there. The arrow here is backspace. Backspace does not erase. It is not a delete button, but you will make a mistake, and that's okay. And when you do, you backspace, and you can either type over it, you can X through it or line through it, whatever is most pleasing to you or your reader. Okay. And then the last thing is the margin release. I've already shown you that, but let me type a sentence. And part of a sentence. There's the bell. Okay, now it's stopped on me. I have one more letter in this word. So I'm going to hit margin release, type my letter, and now I can hit the return handle. So that is how your margin release operates, and you're just in general how to operate a Smith Corona Galaxie. I hope you found this helpful. I always forget to ask people, but if you would please like and subscribe, that would just mean so much to me. Leave a comment. That just helps. It's just one way to help support our business. Thank you, and you have a great day.